Meanwhile, the Egyptian government says COP27 must focus on implementing of the agreements reached at the previous climate change summit. Speaking to the SABC at the climate conference in Sharm el Sheikh, Egypt's Minister of Health and Population said that developed countries must make more resources available to fight climate change. Minister Khaled Abdel spoke to Sophie Mokoena in Sharm el Sheikh.
I think we are very proud of hosting this important COP27. It's a spectacular, as you can see. If you look at the numbers, we're talking about 40,000 to 50% attendees so far. More than 130 head of states and delegations and prime ministers attended the opening and the first couple of days. So as regards to hosting this huge event, I think we're all proud of that as a government and as a people, as also I think our president mentioned that during his speech. So this is in one aspect, and I think the most important thing is also that this is an implementation COP27. We've been listening to a lot of talks during the last 26 COPs, and now it's about time for industrial countries like the United States and Europe and China to start participating in adaptation and mitigation for climate change issues, and also for international organizations to start funding and financing projects, especially to Africa, because we are talking here that we are the most affected continent from climate change, and yet we are not implementing or not producing any of the carbon emission as regards to the participation as a country. So we are having a lot of problems. Things like that should be taken in consideration from financing organizations from big countries, and I think this is what we are looking for as an implementation of this COP27.
An African COP27. In other words, as Africa, we really have to push because we are a host. Do you think countries will find one another on these thorny issues that includes loss and damages?
We have an opportunity now. Then it's all in our hands. And we have the African Union that we can unify and start talking with one voice. Solidarity is very important at this response. Our voice is everywhere, that we have a damage and we have a loss. And as a continent, we need a support from other nations. And I believe that it's now easier than ever before. So we need to organize ourselves by the end of this COP, have a lot of meetings with our presidents and with our officials, so that when we go to international organizations, we speak one language, we speak one voice for the people of Africa.
And finally, Minister, health sector is affected. It's not only in terms of agriculture, but the health sector as well, as we saw during the start of COVID-19.
No, health is an important part of the climate change, affected by climate change dramatically. I'll give you examples for that. Certainly increasing the temperature by 1.5 degrees, this may be very dramatically affecting infectious diseases, malaria, like that we all suffer in Africa, cholera, and also other diseases that can be easily transmitted by airborne infections. So if you talk about pollution that happens secondary to climate change or droughts or desertation, this air pollution, 9 out of 10 breathing in the whole earth, breathing polluted air. We are losing every 13 minutes, one person dies because of air pollution secondary to climate change. So it is endless. If you talk about the damage that happens to the animals, the damage that happens to the plants, the damage that happens to the environment, and these are all what we call it a One Health approach, which means that the health of a human being depends on the health of the animal, depends on the health of the plant, and as well as the health of the environment. So these are all things. If you chop forests and you chop trees, the research said that 600 million trees has been chopped every year, and to manufacture or to produce 6 trillion cigarettes, and to kill 8 million person every year out of that. So these are all the biodiversity, and any change of the balance of the environment has a dramatic effect to the health of the human being.